I went to experience firsthand the actual situation in Eastern DRC, and indeed to meet the newly deployed EAC regional force. So, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the efforts that we have deployed in the framework of the Nairobi process have indeed yielded positive results. And as we meet here today, I would like to indicate that there are a number of armed groups that undertook to cease hostilities in advance of Nairobi 1, and which have kept their part of the bargain to date. And I would like to commend these groups for vesting their faith on the process that we are undertaking. And on our part, we commit to do everything possible to ensure the success of this initiative. Indeed, having been to Goma and listened to stories of the suffering that people have gone through for so long, I am more convinced that no effort should be spared in bringing peace and stability to the eastern side of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Indeed, since we commenced the Nairobi process, there has been relative calm in the territories controlled by armed groups that are part of this process. And as a result of this, humanitarian actors have been able to have some access into these territories to provide much-needed humanitarian assistance to the communities they are in. Ladies and gentlemen, the East African Community Regional Force was deployed to offer support to the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and I'm happy to note that the modalities have been put in place to ensure that this objective is effectively realized. Indeed, at this stage, I would like to thank Burundi and Kenya for deploying their troops as part of the EAC regional force, and further, I would like to urge the other member states to deploy as earlier committed, for it is imperative that we realize full deployment of all elements of the East African force as per the decision of the 3 conclaves of East African heads of state and the subsequent 22nd Ordinary Summit of the EAC. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as the facilitator, together with yourselves, we have convened this Nairobi 3 to achieve the following objectives: to identify, firstly, the political process and institutional reforms necessary to create an environment conducive for the disarmament of armed groups at regional, national, and provincial level. Secondly, to consolidate support and active participation of communities in the disarmament, demobilization, reintegration, and community stabilization program, and address the political and institutional requirements for reintegration of armed groups into the communities. To also deepen the consultation of communities and armed groups from the concerned areas for the greater inclusivity and greater ownership of the process, including for the first time with representatives from Mariana and Tanganyika, and the identification of root causes of conflicts in the 5 provinces, and finally, to evaluate the concrete modalities for the restoration of state authority in each province necessary to accompany the PDDRCs, amongst other issues. So, ladies and gentlemen, the participation of all the invited groups at this consultative forum gives me much hope that all the objectives will be realized, and we believe that at the end of this process, we will be able to see increased coordination and coherence of the Nairobi process with the PDDRCs, the armed groups that are yet to cease hostilities, to honor their commitments, to cease armed activities, and to grant unhindered humanitarian access, and the full deployment and operationalization of the East African Regional Force. So as I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I want to urge all participants to this process, including those who are not yet here on the table with us, to give their support to this process that is vital towards the restoration of peace and stability in the Eastern DRC. And I look forward to opportunities that will enable the region to continue working closely to enhance and strengthen the bonds of purposeful friendship and strategic cooperation for the mutual benefit of all the citizens of East Africa.